All right. So Philip has outlined for us another episode of the Albritton Letters, and he has entitled it Sunrises and Sunsets.
Sunrise,
Sunset. I always think of Tevye on Fiddler on the Roof. If you haven't seen that, he sings that song. Sunrise, sunset.
If I may wax philosophical here for a second, the Earth, unless you're a flat earther person, you know the Earth rotates and causes us to perceive the sun either rising or setting. That's what we see. As the Earth rotates, we think the sun is setting, but the sun's not moving. It's the Earth rotating that we see the sun disappearing or the sun coming up in the morning. So we call it a sunrise. In actuality, the sun doesn't set or rise. The sun doesn't move.
So the Earth is turning.
Right.
And is exposed to the sun. Can I ask you a question, Philip? It might be kind of dumb.
Yeah.
If the Earth is really round, how come we don't fall off when it rolls around?
Gravity. It's gravity. The force, physical force of the Earth, of the core of the Earth, is a magnetic pull, which causes the gravity.
Gravity is something like magnetic.
Forces, yeah.
So somehow or another that's related in today's economy to batteries. The magnetic is used in these car batteries. It's used in technology like which scan is it? MRI scan.
Yeah.
If you have any metal in your body, it'll suck it right out and kill you with the MRI scan.
Yeah.
And we're talking today about, as a resource, some mineral that they use to make magnets. It's all about magnets and about battery. With the electric car and all that. Okay, I digress. All right. All right. Okay.
What?
The Earth rotates and causes us to perceive the sun rising. It's not really rising and setting. We just perceive it that way
because we're moving. We're rotating with the Earth, and we see it. It looks like it's rising.
That's what I've always heard. So I'm gonna take your word for it because I have,
You can't prove.
I don't know any. I can't prove any different. But it's kind of like Elvis. I'm really not sure he died.
Well,
or going to the moon. I'm not really sure about it. But
what is important or significant about the sun rising and setting? Why is that significant?
Well, that constitutes our and if you'll notice over here, our soundtrack is doing better than the last recording. I don't know why, but it seems
I don't know about that last one we did.
I don't know how it's going to turn out. We'll see. But anyway, what is the significance of the sun rising and setting? Well, the Bible says that God created the darkness and the light. And mechanically, I suppose the way he did that was causing the turning of the planets and the sun and so forth. But it's significant because, this thing in our system, it's not serotonin. What's it called? You can take a sleeping vitamin, it'll make you sleep. It's not
melatonin?
Melatonin makes you. So when it's dark, you sleep better because your body doesn't produce melatonin when it's dark.
We talked about this.
That's how we rest.
We talked about this a little bit when we were discussing animals that sleep at night or sleep in the day.
I remember. Yeah, we
nocturnal animals.
Yeah. So it has a lot to do with. It's all about humans. Everything, the whole universe. I mean, that's from our perspective as humans. It's all about us. The planets, the flowers. It's all here for us.
Well, in more ways than one.
The turning of the planet is so we can get some sleep. In Alaska,
Well, so what you're saying is God made everything for us, for His children, mankind. Mm-hmm. Okay. There's the other concept of we are the only ones, mankind, humans, are the only ones smart enough think about something and have ideas and come up with an idea like the Earth is flat. Oh, the Earth. Oh.
I have said that, and yeah, I think that.
Yeah,
I believe. Do you think along that line too?
Sort of, yeah. But I want to keep it on the sunrises and sunsets. But the sunrise and sunset idea of and there goes back to the human perception of it. If there were no humans on the Earth, of course, we wouldn't even be talking about this because we wouldn't have these ideas.
You even think about it.
But I think in terms of science and the rotation of the Earth, that's why we have the climates that we do, because it's not always.
Well, think
hot.
of it.
It's cool half the day, hot half the day. Cool. It's light half the day.
That's right.
Dark half the day.
That's right. Well, think of it like this, if we can, just throw it out there. You know, if you plant your garden, there's this thing called photosynthesis, where the sun shines down on the plants, and if it's a nice warm climate, the crops will grow better, right?
Yeah.
Because this photosynthesis thing that takes place. But it's sort of like with us eating. Now, we have to eat to live. Else we'll starve to death, right? But we can't eat all the time. We have to go to work and do other things. So we'll eat 1 or 2 or 3 times a day, or some people more than that. But we can't eat all the time.
Well, you eat when you get hungry. That's a smart person.
When you get hungry. And so the sun can't shine all the time, or else it would be an overdose.
It shines all the time.
But we're not getting it.
We're not getting it because the Earth rotates.
Because the Earth rotates.
That's my point. You know, the sun is there shining constantly. It has been.
But the rhyme behind the reason of all this turning and stuff, is that the plants and the people would have to have that change. If we had the sun all the time, it's like if you had good things happen to you all the time, you would never know the bad.
You're getting off into the philosophical part of it.
You couldn't gauge it.
You just departed from science over into philosophy.
Well, it's a fact, though. Whether it's in whatever category it's in, it's a fact.
But
that there must be change. So the darkness and the light, the sun.
There are planets like Venus is closer to the sun. Consequently, it is super hot. It's too hot to live on. And there are planets that are far away from the sun where they don't get as much heat from the sun, so they're a very cold planet, uninhabitable. It's ice all the time. But they still have a rotational function, I believe. Don't all the planets rotate like the Earth? I don't know. But
well, they probably, if they're smaller, their rotation would be on a shorter cycle, depending on what size they are.
Well, depending on whether or not they actually
how fast they're rotating.
They could rotate slower or faster too. You know, like it's 24 hours for the Earth to rotate. Like Pluto, it might be a year for it to rotate.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
But anyway, that's all those things we're talking about are what determines our perception of what we call the sunrise and the sunset.
Well, you know, I know you hate it when I turn everything to philosophical, but you know, somewhere in the Bible it says that a year, 1,000 years is a year to God. That this all is kind of spoken about it abstractly, but what if it was real? What if God lives on a place, heaven, this place where God is? It has a bigger rotation. It takes 1,000 years is one day. So time then becomes not that relevant.
That's like this
old. Where time is, look at my watch.
The little black guy I used to work with, and he's a little short black guy, very funny, very philosophical music. He was into orchestrating music and stuff. And you'd say something like that to D. We called him D. And he'd look and he'd say, Phil, that's deep. That's deep.
Well, you know, there are myriad things you can get from that as to why the sun rises and sets.
Well, what imbues or endows the sunset and sunrise with the concept of it being romantic. What is romantic about the sunrise and sunset?
Well, I think it's just the beauty of nature. When you say romantic, that's not necessarily between a girl and a boy, although most times it's referred. I mean, if you watch the sunset, what is romantic? Is that a sexual thing between girl and boy?
Doesn't have to be, but that's what I was thinking.
An artistic thing.
That's what I was thinking about. Was like, you know, your girlfriend or your wife. You go out and you're watching the
looking at the moon. Yeah.
Yeah, not the moon, the sunset.
What do you mean the moon? The moon is
foul play. We're talking about the sunrise and sunset.
Not the moonrise.
So when you go out, like at the beach, when the sun's going down over the water, you're sitting there in your recliner, and your wife wants to hold hands. Oh, this is very romantic. What makes it that?
What makes it that way?
Yeah.
I think that's a psychology thing. I think it has to do with what's the word? Learning. By repeating things. What do you call that? That's
repetition.
Well, it's repetition, but it's learning by memory. What is that? I can't think of the word for it. You know, like a dog learns. A dog. Yeah. It's hard to sit down and explain a concept learning to a dog. Conditioning.
Yeah.
It's Pavlov. Conditioning. Yeah. You know, bring out the meat, the dog's saliva, right? Pavlov. So it's a conditioning thing.
Yeah, but we don't see sunsets that often, and we don't often. We're not in a position to.
We read about them. We read lots of romantic stories about sunsets.
That's right, and I get to this later, but a lot of people.
And we watch a lot of movies.
Take pictures of them. They're included in the movies and stuff like that.
Yeah, I think it's a conditioning thing that it's a human family.
Which is more romantic, the sunrise or the sunset?
Well, that's again an individual thing. Depends on the individual. To me, I think the sunset probably.
Well, that's only because it's seen more. You don't have too many people sitting out there as couples admiring and watching the sunrise.
Well, there you go. That's a conditioning factor. Yeah. We're conditioned that way because we have more of it.
But they're just as beautiful. I mean, I bet
they are. One's just as beautiful as the other one. For that matter, just the trees, you know, the greenery. I mentioned this the other day as I was riding down the road to my wife that back when I was living in California, you know, the deserts of Arizona and the barren Utah. They were talking about the Mormons going to Utah. Mm-hmm. It was nothing but a desert out in Mexico.
Yeah,
and they started what do you call it? Bringing water in.
They didn't go to Mexico.
Migration.
They didn't go to Mexico.
It was Mexico then. It belonged to Mexico. I just watched a YouTube on it yesterday.
That belonged to Mexico.
It belonged to Mexico.
Oh,
you know, when the United States got it.
I thought it belonged to the Apache Indians or something.
No, it belonged to Mexico. Actually, when they first went out there, but it was just a desert, and they had to figure out how to. Get water to it. What's that word? Irrigate. How to irrigate it, right? And they learn how to grow beautiful fields. Same way with these planets. One planet might rotate. It might be very cold, and you call it inhabitable. Uninhabitable. But what's his name? Trump's buddy, the smart guy. Musk. See, Musk dares to dream about going to Mars and all that. So he's prepared to embrace it and overcome it, whatever the conditions are there. Maybe we need to irrigate. Maybe we need to do something else to make it habitable by humans.
Oh, I see.
You see where I'm going with that?
Change it to so it is habitable.
Yeah, to change it.
Same way the pioneers did going out to a barren land.
Right, and that might not be on a 24-hour calendar or a 24-hour day. I mean, or a 30-day. You know, like maybe a whole different calendar.
Yeah.
But maybe through man's intelligence that we could go to a planet like that and somehow tweak it a little bit.
Sunsets.
It would be habitable.
Sunsets and sunrises are very impressionable because they are bright colors. They're the bright orange, red, and yellow color. What makes that? What does that? What causes them to be such bright colors like that? Do you know?
Well, no, I don't know. But, what's between the sun and us has a lot to do with it. It's like when we talk, again, theologically about is a spirit nothing or is it something? Well, I believe that it's something. It's just a different material. You can't see it, but I can't see the air either. And there's a lot in the atmosphere between the sun. Was it 93 million miles or something?
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot in the atmosphere that's going to change that hue and tint of color. Now, you being an artist, you know more about color than I do.
Okay, let me
I understand that.
Let me interject this then. You bring up the fact that I study color in art. We know the sun produces white light, which it produces all levels of light. UV, X-ray, it produces all the levels of light. But our human eye only perceives the white light. And if you put a prism up in front of the light, it'll make a little rainbow. Or when it storms, you see the rainbow.
Okay.
That's breaking down that light into the various colors. The cooler colors on one side and the warmer colors on the other side. Now, if you can imagine...
by the way, you're already over my head. So
if you imagine the Earth as being like depicted on a chart, like a circle. Mm-hmm. You see this Earth as a circle. Well, there's an outer circle around that Earth is the Earth atmosphere, the air that we breathe. There's a layer all around the Earth of the atmosphere. And that atmosphere has water molecules and all sorts of stuff floating around in the atmosphere. Well, when the sun is straight up overhead and we look at it through the atmosphere, we see this bright white almost. If we could look at it very long, it would just be white, bright light, almost pure white. As it goes down toward the edge, as the Earth rotates, it gets more colored because we're seeing it through that atmosphere. We're standing and we're looking through that atmosphere. It gets thicker and thicker that we're looking through. And so when we're looking at it at such a steep angle, when it's way over there going, the Earth is such that we're looking through a long piece of atmosphere, it takes away all the blue colors. All we see are the orange. All we see is that orange and red and yellow colors of it. That's why it's a bright color. That's why it looks bigger too. We're looking through this atmosphere. It acts as a microscope.
So I was pretty close looking.
Yeah, you're pretty close.
That kind of way. Well, to quote my old friend Ross Perot, that's real interesting. That's real interesting, folks.
So why do all photographers take pictures of sunrises and sunsets? Why is it they find it so interesting that they take pictures of it? They want to save it for later? Is that?
Yeah, they want to capture that beautiful moment. Yeah, we would all like to be frozen in a moment of perfection.
Yeah, but we get one every day just about.
Just look at it tomorrow.
Just look at it tomorrow, the next day. They're taking a picture of it.
I don't know. I guess we're afraid it won't happen.
It's
again.
not going to be the same, maybe. Cloud formations.
Yeah. Well, I could probably drum up a dozen examples of why. Everything kind of repeats in the whole wide world.
Well, it goes back to the
beauty. But we still live in that moment.
It goes back to the romantic nature of it, the beauty of it.
Well, you could say that with a beautiful woman that you fall in love with today. Tomorrow, you might hate her. She might be just as hateful as she can be.
You're looking through
but
less atmosphere.
In this moment, when you get this maybe once a month, you want to capture it.
Yeah, well.
You probably get it again sometime, but you want to capture those beautiful moments.
Well, that's true. That is, and it's different depending on when you look at it and what position, your perspective, what you've been drinking, lots of things. But yeah, it is very similar. That's a good analogy. A beautiful woman compared to the sunset, to the sun.
She waxes and wanes. Some days you look at her and say, "Man, what a mean woman."
Yeah, well,
she probably does the same thing.
I've known women. It was like they had that Seinfeld. That Seinfeld episode where they changed looks. He'd look at her one time and she was really beautiful. He'd look at her again and, oh man, she's ugly. The same person, you know. But some people have that about them. That depending on how they turn, their profile, what they look, or there's something about them, they look different in different lights, you know.
Yeah. Well, you know, I often query my wife about, you know, well, do you love me? And she said, oh, yeah, I adore you. I love you. You're so handsome.
You're like a beautiful sunset.
You're like a beautiful sunset. I said, well, what about yesterday? Like about 11 o'clock when we got into that argument about something? The way you looked at, did you love me then? And she said, well, yes, I did. But I think she's lying. I don't think she really loved me in that moment. It's probably a pretty ugly guy.
Well, even the thing
hateful.
My cat even sometimes. I'll kick out at my cat because she makes me mad. But I still love her. You know, don't really want to hurt her. It's just a spur of the moment kind of.
Yeah. Well, anyway, we sort of correlated that pretty well, didn't we? Between romance, we turned that. We kind of identified it, didn't we?
I think it's very close relation to romantic love and women and our relationship in general. That sunrise and sunset, and then it goes away and it's dark for a while. You know,
it's just totally dark.
There's no sun at all. And then we see the sunrise come up again, and I mean, you know, she woke up. I'm looking, you know, there she is. There's that beautiful woman again, early in the morning.
It depends. You know, there's that old story about the guy that woke up with a woman and wanted to gnaw his arm off, you know.
Now you're getting over into the misogyny.
It's where he met the one he met last night, you know, and went home with.
Yeah.
He wanted to chew his arm off when he saw her the next morning. But anyway, I make a little joke there.
But getting back to on a philosophical note, if we, you know, there's always this mathematical test, a little problem about riding on the train. If you were riding on a train, you know, I'm talking about the speed of the train and the time and all that. Right. So what if you were able to travel to the west faster than the Earth is moving, would you ever see a sunset?
How fast does the Earth move?
I'm not sure.
Okay. Would you ever see the sunset? That's kind of like the old sound barrier thing, to where, I don't know if you saw that movie about where Chuck Yeager broke the sound barrier.
Yeah.
And they knew it was there. I mean, there was kind of that question: if you went fast enough,
then the speed of sound,
then could you break through the sound barrier? Is that a similar issue? And he did.
Well, similar.
He broke through the sound barrier, and they had a crowd, and he was trying to do that, and he had the pedal to the metal, and he had the plane going, and it started shaking when he hit that sound barrier. And nobody had ever really done this in concept. But anyway, him breaking the sound, going faster than the speed of sound, that sounds like a similar dilemma. Would you ever get to the sunset if you went faster?
Traveling to the west,
than the speed of the Earth.
Even if you're going the same speed as the rotation of the Earth. If you're going the same speed, and you start when it's...
No, you'd be going the opposite direction eventually. If you travel west, if you travel fast enough toward the west,
sunsets in
you'd
the
be
west,
like Columbus. You'd eventually be
going the
east.
opposite direction.
You'd be going east.
Yeah.
Because it's round or oblong or football size, whatever it is. But you would eventually be going east.
Yeah, out west, it's earlier than it is here. Like they see more sun. The sun hasn't gone down as far as what we've seen it. So, what if we're traveling west, we're going to be seeing more sun. So if we travel at the same rate of the Earth moving, we would never see the sun set, theoretically. Is that right? Because, like in California, it's earlier than it is here.
Yeah, I don't know.
Because they see more sun.
You just kind of broke my sound barrier as far as I go. The world is starting to shake and rattle and roll right now.
Well, we've performed a miracle here. We have made Lloyd speechless.
That's true. Well, I have to think that one through. Let me just say that.
Well, that was my last question. Was can we travel?
Kind of a hypothetical.
Is there possible to travel that fast? Again, we don't know because we don't know.
Well, does that get into the concept of time travel?
No. This is a physical thing, you know.
Like there's an experiment. I don't remember if you dropped something from a certain distance onto a moving train, or I can't remember what that.
If you're on a train
was.
And you jump up and the train's still moving, would you come back down in the same spot, or would you come back down in a different spot?
You come back down in a different spot because the train's moving.
But your momentum is carrying you. You know, the train is carrying you along. So when you jump up, you still have the physical momentum that's the train is.
Do you, or do you stay in that same spot?
No, you don't stay because you're moving along at a momentum. You know, you're moving. Not as fast.
Yeah, but your momentum is relevant to the speed of that train carrying you.
And you slow down if you could stand up there above the train. Eventually, you'd be standing still, but you can't stand still because gravity is going to bring you back down. You know. But your momentum carries you. Like if you jump off the train, if you're going along and you jump off the train, the speed of that train is going to. It's going to thrust you. That's why you tumble and fall. You can't just jump straight out. When you jump, that train's making you. It's throwing you.
So you got to run real fast.
You stumble when you hit the ground. You're moving almost as fast as that train when you hit the ground. Mm-hmm.
Well, as Ross Perot would say, Philip, that's real interesting.
That's deep.
That's deep.
So how many minutes we got over there now? Let's end this. Let's cut this one off and make it one of our shorter ones.
Well, it's 28 minutes. Then.
Yeah, that's good. We'll
see how that goes.
We have the Albritton Letters on Vimeo. The videos on Vimeo, but if you go down to the bottom of the comments, if you listen to or watch, listen to it on some venue. Look at your device that you're listening to, and under the comments, it has the link to go to the video. Now that may not be worth anything now that I think about it, because if somebody's rolling along in their car listening to the audio, that they don't see the comments.
No, but if they're looking at it on their computer, they might see it.
If they're listening to it on the.
See, most people actually know nothing about Vimeo. Everybody thinks of it. It's sort of like calling a refrigerator a Frigidaire.
Yeah, they all think it's YouTube. I saw you on YouTube when they actually saw it on Vimeo.
Yeah, they say YouTube. They just think YouTube is, what do you call that? They brand it. They own the brand. But Vimeo is just another. It doesn't make any difference to them. If they click on that link, they'll get the video. Yeah. Right. So look for the link, because I enjoy watching the videos more than I do. But sometimes if I'm riding in the car, I'll listen to the radio. You're right.
Well, that's the beauty of a podcast. They're tailored to be listened to, without having the constraints of forcing your eye to watch the video.
Well, may I just say this for those people who find us boring, and I'm sure there's more than a few. My wife finds us boring too. I said, "Would you like to watch the podcast that Philip and I did?" She said, "No, I've heard all that stuff." But we'll get in the car and we're riding down the road, and she said, "Well, I'll listen to it now for a few minutes. It's all I can handle." But she'll start listening, and she starts talking to the radio. She'll say, "No," or "Yeah, I agree with that." I said, "Who are you talking to?" It's like when two people sit down and have a conversation, it just flows. Yeah. And so that's I guess that would be our goal, isn't it? It's just having a conversation that would suck people in. If we added another third party, he wouldn't just sit there. After a while, he'd be drawn into the conversation.
Yeah. Well.
And if you'll just give us a chance, some of these topics, we might uncover a nugget or two.
There might be a topic that you have more interest in than another. Okay, anyway, we got to go. We'll see y'all next time.
All right, Philip, you done did good today.
Shut her down, Rube.